Hi there everyone, Hedda here and Yom Tov, and as it's nearly Shabbat, I'd like to wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, which means, have a peaceful Shabbat, have basically a nice and happy weekend filled with peace, which is what I wish for all of you and me. Would be nice. Anyway, I don't want to frighten you all. I haven't come to tell you that the spooky sessions aren't happening later. They are. It's just, I've got to share something with you. I've been sitting all day feeling this pull to talk to you all ahead of tonight's video. And of course, having a chat with you before your spooky sessions isn't really the right thing to do. But I didn't know what it was I wanted to talk to you about. And then I want to shout out to the Haveners. The first one I want to shout out is our catcher. Catcher left a couple of comments on one of my very first videos that I did. And I mean, we're going back nearly 6 months now. And she said some of the things that she liked was, some of the stuff I'd said, but she said, back then it was just, a general chat and just talking to all of you. And you sort of missed that. And I went back, I didn't watch the video. I actually don't watch them apart from like maybe one or maybe two run-throughs when I first done them. Just to sort of like, how do I look and how is it going to be perceived by you all? But after that, I don't bother. Because believe you me, I have mirrors in my house. I don't need any more representations of myself, thanks. So there was that, she missed the old days of the chatting. And a couple of others had said that to me recently. And then the other person I wanted to shout out, so getting back to Catcher, when she said that, and it was like something between here and here was going ding, 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 but I wasn't making the connection. And I was just fleetingly thinking at the time, right, if I can manage it this coming Monday, I'll think of something to talk to you all about. But I couldn't think of anything. And when I do talk to you, I want it to be meaningful, So anyway, later on in the day, I want to shout out the second person, who is our Rhea snake spear, because she's got snakes. And Rhea and I were just talking about, people looking down on other people and and not wanting to do menial jobs and things like that. And then she turned around and she said, oh, I wonder if that would be something that the Haveners would like to talk about. How some people will do the work that others won't do and how they need more appreciation. And at the end of the day, just be kind. And then it all sort of fell into place for me. So I remembered back when I was talking about things like being kind, and it was one of the first times in the first few videos where I said, you're not alone, you're never alone. And then appreciating people and trying to be kind and things like that. And it was like, then I started connecting all the dots. And I put out a tweet earlier that was by the Baal Shem Tov. And it was, more or less, be careful what you say. Because, words can either help or they can hurt. I think that was basically what it said. And anyway, everything's sort of all come full circle. for me then about, and I think what the universe was trying to tell me was, get back to where you started, which was, you know, I mean, I'm talking about the days where I was barely 50 subscribers, and so desperately grateful for all of them. And trust me, I'm a lot bigger now, and there isn't a day that goes by where I am not grateful for every single one of you. I don't take any one of you for granted. You know, when I see the numbers go up, I'm like, oh, this is exciting. New people have come to hear the message, and because you basically know what 3 rules the message are. You know, you're never alone. You know, you're not alone. Listen to the words from Message in a Bottle, because it does really apply to us here in the Haven. And the third one is that you're loved, wanted and needed. And especially that you're loved, because that this is the sort of community that we've built here now, where, you know, it is a safe place, and it is a warm and welcoming place, and, you know, nobody judges you, and as long as you're kind and respectful, you know, you can have as many opinions as you like, and we'll all, you know, either agree to disagree, or we'll all join in, and, you know, because it's still early days where people are still fumbling about talking to each other, but I totally understand that, because there's an awful lot of channels where people leave comments and they're either not hearted or there's no comments back. I mean, I must admit, the channels that I frequent, their creators do like look after the subscribers, which I think is wonderful. Obviously, when you're getting numbers in the thousands, I would imagine it's just about nigh impossible trying to get round everybody. But everybody can always take the time to say thank you. And, you know, now is one of those times where I think this video is going to be about gratitude. I think, I'm still not sure, and I still feel as if I'm not quite, I mean, I thought I'd come full circle, but I'm not sure if I'm really totally connecting the dots yet. But I hope as I go on, I make more sense. Keep in mind that this is Heather that we're talking about, who, you know, whether I make sense is another story. But when I start off the videos, and I thank all of you for being here, it's not like this is my stock phrase for every time I open up a video. I say it because I mean it. And I am grateful for every single person who stays. Now, I know that numbers go up and numbers go down. And you know what? I made a huge mistake. I said the numbers didn't matter. It was, I think, I was just more concerned with trying to make everybody happy, and I wanted to get across that, because I knew I was never really going to grow very big, that, you know, it was more about how I could make everybody happy. At least I think that's what I was trying to say. But now I realise I was wrong. Because we live in a society where people are only really at the early stages of waking up to realising that, you know, we should try and get rid of the stigma that surrounds mental health. Now, if anybody said 6-7 months ago that I would talk about mental health, I would have said no, because I'm certainly not qualified. All I can talk about is my own life experiences and things I've seen. And you all know that I do suffer from depression. that, you know, sometimes I do get over anxious. I go out so seldom now, it's starting to become a little bit problematic for me. I feel quite panicked at the thought of going out now. And I used to be such a social person. But social media for me is that exactly. It's my social life now. And, you know, I don't need to get out the tiny violins and sort of start playing them, but I don't go out at all. You know, apart from to the lymphedema nurses up at the hospice, occasionally to the doctors, occasionally to the hospital. Can't access friends' homes because their houses aren't wheelchair friendly, which isn't their fault. And they could come here, but I'm a little bit out of the way from where I used to live, so it's a bit more of an effort for them. But I understand, you know, but that's just life, that's how it works. But I've met some lovely, lovely people online. And I don't want to sound as if I'm rambling, sorry. I don't want to sound as if I'm rambling, but I am trying to get my thoughts together to form some kind of cohesiveness. And Rhea and I were talking about people who do the most menial jobs and who are paid the least. And what would happen if nobody wanted to do these menial jobs? Everybody would notice how dirty the places were, and how people would notice like the state of decay, and, you know, where would we be without cleaners and people to clean public toilets? You know, and I know we've all known plenty of public toilets that looked as if they desperately needed a really good clean, but in all seriousness, where would we be without those service workers who clean our public toilets? Now, I've got a thing about bathroom cleanliness, and I cannot stand, you know, toilets being dirty. It just, you know, when they show you these before and after homes where somebody's been a hoarder and they haven't cleaned up, and they take great delight in showing you the dirty toilet, and my stomach is churning. And even though I've got a very, very, can't believe I'm telling you all this, but even though I've got a very, very clean bathroom, I still feel the urge to go back in, even though it's only been bleached and scrubbed that day, to go in and bleach and scrub it again. But maybe that's just how those programs affect you. But Rhea and I were talking about, what about the factory workers and people who work in warehouses and people who clean our streets, clean our public amenities? You know, people who work in the fast food industry. And some of them get laughed at because, you know, it used to be a standing joke, didn't it? Do you want fries with that? Is that going to be your career? Do you want fries with that? But it's a job. And I would love to work. I would love to be able to work again. I really, really would. I was in, you know, I was in customer service before I went to uni. And then I worked in pubs while I was at uni for 4 years. And then I worked in customer service after it. You know, I had the break, obviously, with the kids, and I didn't go out to work then. And then when I first left the ex-husband, I was self-employed. So again, it was still a case of customer service. So looking after people. So, and I've seen both sides, how the people in the customer service industry feel about people taking them for granted. And I've been on the other side where there's been girls or boys just standing around looking as if they had nothing to do, and you're waiting desperately to get a garment exchanged or something like that, and it's taking you all that time to catch their eye and what have you. But I think the basic message that I want to try and make here is about not taking people for granted and being grateful for what's done for us, you know. I must admit, when back in the day when I could get into them, obviously, when I used to go into a public toilet, and there would be the lady attendant sitting at the end and always going in behind people and cleaning up after them, and she'd have a little bowl where you could leave her a tip. And I always left, you know, because I always used to access the same amenities when I was in town. And I always used to leave her a tip and say thank you for keeping this so clean. And she always used to say, very few people ever thank me. To them, I'm invisible. I always used to take that to heart. So, you know, I'd come home and things like that. I dwell on them, you know. And like I say, when I was talking to Ria earlier, and we discussed this at some length, and it is true, there are people who look down their noses at others just because they're bigger than them. And I don't necessarily mean in physical size. I mean, you know, there are some tiny, tiny channels out there, some makeup artists that I've seen, who really, really deserve a lot more recognition than they're getting. And I mean, I'm just pulling that one particular genre out of a hat. You know, they are extremely talented people, and they give all their time for free. They buy all their own makeup. They're not on anybody's PR list. And they take their time to create all these wonderful looks and then take their own photographs, put them out there on YouTube and say, what do you think? Do you think I've done a good job? Like and subscribe, ring the bell, that sort of thing. And they do deserve a lot more recognition. And when I've seen what some of these so-called beauty influencers get up to, you know, all the makeup in the world can't hide how ugly they are on the inside. When you think of all the shady things they've done and the shady things they continue to do. And there are times when I think it is grossly unfair that my friends, like my friend Tay of Slade Del Val, and my friend Angie of 4F Beauty and Lifestyle, and my friend Keren of Keren Joy, you know, why aren't they bigger? And they should be. And I think we should all be grateful that they take their time and their creativity and their talent to do something to bring us some pleasure and to teach us something new. And over these past few weeks and months, I've gone through some changes myself. And, you know, another lesson that I'm having to constantly remind myself is to be careful about what I say, how I say it, how I am with people. It's a hard lesson and a costly one. But I think basically what I want to say to you, lovely people, is that if you can't do something nice for someone every day, you know, like a good things, like what I call mitzvahs, you know, if you could do something once a week, if you can afford it, give to a charity. If you can help someone across the road, if you could get somebody in their shopper, help wash somebody's windows, you know, offer to do a bit of housework for them, wash the dishes, mow their lawn, pick up the rubbish around them, do their ironing. You know, I mean, who doesn't hate ironing? I certainly do. But, you know, read to them for a while. Go sit around and have a cup of coffee with them. If they can't go to the coffee, bring the coffee to them. And they will be so grateful for you. And the good feeling that you get from that is going to make you feel grateful that you're alive. And it's just coming to me now, actually, that if we can all try and be kind, I mean, take a little bit of time, maybe out your week, and you could write somebody a nice email, or if you're still in the habit of pen and paper, write somebody a nice letter, or get them a nice pretty card and put in, I'm thinking of you. You know, I know that will bring a smile to my face. If someone sees a shade of lipstick that they really like and they can't afford it, give them a little surprise. Buy it for them, send it to them. You know? Because then you can imagine their joy when they look at it, see what you've done. And of course they're going to be all full of, oh, you shouldn't have done that. But the joy they're going to get wearing that lipstick and seeing how good they're looking at, that's going to bring a lot of joy to you. So they're going to be grateful for what you did. And you're going to be grateful for the way it's made you feel. And it's going to bring you a little bit of happiness. It's like a little light in where it's dim. I'm not going to say dark. And I'm not going to use the word dark place, because that phrase has been ruined for me. But let's just say, when we all go to those places that aren't quite as bright as we'd like them to be, if we can maybe try and find our way out of there and follow that light and bring a little bit of light to somebody else by being kind or doing some surprise or give somebody a helping hand. Like I say, there are so many things that we can do for each other. You know, and you never know, the person that you do that mitzvah for may go on to do a mitzvah for somebody else, and it'll be like ripples in a pool. You know, they spread further and further and further out. So I think what I basically wanted to say at the end of all this rambling, because it has been a ramble, and it's just, I don't know, I just feel that I've got so sick of ranting about people and getting upset at people, and I'm not saying it hasn't been deserved, because it has been, and you know, I'll do it again. and again and again, if need be. But if you can, and believe you me, I struggle with this because I do try and be kind. And sometimes I mess up royally. I really do. I mess up royally. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend to be some fountain of all knowledge and what have you, because I'm telling you now, I have feet of clay. I am totally human. I make so many mistakes, it would make a saint vomit. And it would make the devil jump for joy. And I'm ashamed. I'm absolutely ashamed of myself. So, you know, sometimes I don't know how to put things right. I just don't know how. So I think, right, well, if I can't make that situation right, then I'll try and make somebody else's situation a bit better. And it's not about like making my conscience feel better. It's not about that, because my conscience keeps on going. Because I carry a lot of guilt about an awful lot of stuff. So that little bit extra guilt just adds to the mountain of guilt that I already carry. It's not about getting rid of the guilt or, oh, well, I've done that wrong thing now, I'll put that away, I'll do something nice to somebody else. It'll cancel out what I did. No, certainly not. It does not work that way, not for me. I still carry on feeling guilt for what I'm guilty of. But if I can try and do something for somebody else, then I can say, well, okay, I did that, but it doesn't make up for the other stuff. It just means I've got to work harder. And I've got to try harder. And sometimes when I'm in a place that isn't as bright as I would like it to be, I would like to see a beacon of light somewhere to bring me out of the shadows back into the daylight, you know. And I'm sure there are lots of us would like to have that done for us as well. And there are lots of us who are more than happy to do that for others. So we can give and take at the same time, but we're all keeping that same balance and we're all trying to keep that same energy if it's possible. But keeping in mind that for the amount of times, excuse me, that we stumble and we fall, every time we get back up again, we're going to try and make somebody benefit the fact that we've got scraped knees, scraped elbows, and what have you. But we're going to keep on going and we're going to keep on trying until eventually one day we'll get it right. And I've still got a lot to learn. And I've still got a long way to go. A long way. So basically, I want to end this by saying I am incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. I wish I knew all your names. I don't. I know our regulars who are here all the time, and believe you me, they are wonderful people. And I know there's a lot more wonderful people out there who haven't spoken to me yet. I wish you would. I wish you'd just come up and say hello, and then I can connect to you. That would be nice. And if you can just try support each other in the comments, because that's that makes me feel wonderful. The fact that in building a community, it's about getting people to talk to each other. And I'm going to keep on talking to all of you. I'm going to try and keep on top of those comments as much as I can and connect to all of you, you know, because it's important. I just feel, and others have said to me, that they feel the haven is very important. It is to them and it is to me, and I hope it's just as important to you. So I'm going to finish this here because I've rambled on for long enough. Thank you again for sitting listening to me ramble. I hope you were able to take something from it. If I've said anything of any value, then great. If I've talked a load of baloney, that's part of who I am. Because what you see is what you get, I'm afraid. This is what you're stuck with. And I wish I was a better person. And please don't anybody tell me, you're wonderful, you're this, you're that, please. I know you want to say nice things to me, but please just remember, I am exactly the same as you. I'm an ordinary woman with massive failings. Okay? I am nothing special. Trust me. I shall see you guys who are paranormal fans for episode 2 of I Drive for Cerber. You know, it's like Uber for the paranormal tonight. And I have our second story sorted out, but I'm not going to announce it just yet. You'll have to wait a bit longer. Anyway, for the rest of you who aren't paranormal fans, fingers crossed I'm well enough to be here on Monday. You know, we'll see how it goes. But thank you for listening to me. And thank you for being here. Not just for this video, but being here in the haven. Because it means the absolute world to me. And I know it means an awful lot to an awful lot of you. So thank you. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I hope the weather stays nice for all of you. All do with a nice dose of sunshine without that sticky humid heat. That I can do without. Okay. Love you guys. See you next time. And I'll see the rest of you tonight. Bye-bye.